Okay, so 3,000 Years of Longing is the latest film from Australian Queensland born director George Miller, most well known for his Mad Max films and Fury Road. So I was looking forward to this movie ever since I heard it was being announced, since I am a big fan of George Miller and I wanted to see a new movie from him in quite a while. I was actually I missed out on Fury Road when it was in theaters. I was on a holiday in Japan at like the time, and when I came back to Australia, it was already gone from theaters, and I was keen on seeing it. It looked really good, and then it wasn't really until I saw the reviews for that movie of just how much people loved it and how like people calling like this masterpiece and like one of the best action movies. And I was kicking myself because, I mean, I live in Queensland, I'm Australian, and, you know, like, George Miller is Queensland born and it's practical action. I mean, like, it should have been my movie. I should have seen that movie in theaters, but unfortunately, I didn't, and I was kicking myself for quite a while. I haven't seen every single George Miller film, though, to be honest. I've never seen Lorenzo's Oil, The Witches of Eastwick. I haven't even seen Babe 2, Pig in the City. I think there are a few other maybe short films that predate the original Mad Max in 1979. Haven't seen those either. So I probably do need to do a bit more catching up and watching more of Miller's movies that I probably haven't seen. But I have seen all the Mad Max movies, and I've seen the two Happy Feet films. So I've seen basically all the ones that he's more well known for. But like, I really, I've never seen anybody talk about like Lorenzo's Oil in my entire life, so I'm pretty sure that film isn't really that well known by many people. But if I see it on DVD or on streaming, I'll definitely give it a watch, and I'll definitely let you guys know what I think about it. Anyway, I heard that a new movie was coming out from him, and I said I'm not going to make the same mistake again. I'm going to watch this in a theatre, and I did. And so what did I think of this movie? I thought this was a very original and entertaining and very interesting movie. It's definitely the most original and most different and inventive movie I've probably seen all year. It just stands out from the rest of the movies that's come out this year, just like how unique and like original this story is, and how and of course the story has like many layers. So this movie stars Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba. So Tilda Swinton plays Agatha, like this female kind of this scholar who's kind of a loner. She goes solo. She lives by herself. She's never had a partner, and she's on search for like she's in India, I think, on search of this magic bottle which unleashes this jinn. So it's not a genie like from Aladdin. It's called a jinn, and this jinn kind of opens up to her in depth about his life and how he's been struggling to grant 3 wishes of anyone who finds him, because no one seems to want to wish anything when he's around, and he's always put back in his bottle, trapped for like hundreds of years, waiting for that right person to find him and make those 3 wishes. So, as being a George Miller directed film, of course it's incredibly shot. It's a very beautiful and interesting and very well thought out looking movie. It definitely has its own style that is very it just looks so different compared to all the other blockbusters we've seen this year. And of course, it's what you come to expect from George Miller. Of course, not every George Miller film was a hit for me. I wasn't a fan of Happy Feet 2. And this is coming from someone who really enjoyed the first Happy Feet. Happy Feet 1 was like a big childhood movie of mine, and I did appreciate how like Happy Feet had like its very epic moments. Like there's like this scene where like the penguins are like walking and fighting against like a windstorm with epic music playing, and then there's a scene where Mumble jumps off this massive cliff that's like 500 meters high. And Happy Feet 2 didn't really have much of that. And then of course Fury Road came out 7 years ago with its epic action sequences and incredibly directed practical action sequences. And of course now this is something that's completely different. This is not an action movie. It has no action in it. It's a very story-driven, character-driven movie that in a way kind of feels a bit minimalistic with its 2 characters. with a lot of it like taking place in this hotel room, just this conversation exchanging between Agifala and the Jinn. But there are many flashback scenes in this movie with a lot of interesting characters. I will say, I think I saw David Collins from the Umbilical Brothers make a very small appearance in this. There was this scene showing like this jester doing this improv comedy act where he was like miming. Then it showed David Collins' face at the end, and I'm thinking, wow, that's a nice touch. It's nice to have like an umbilical brother in a George Miller film, so it was nice to see that. But anyway, I thought it had a good story. I'm not really going to rate this one out of 10. I'm trying to think if this movie did have any flaws. I guess the only flaw I can really think of is that maybe all the conversation that was going on in the hotel room between Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba might have gone on for a little bit too long, but you really had to like build up that character, and maybe the introduction to the Jinn was a bit too sudden. It felt too quick. She just found the bottle and she opened it and he was there. There wasn't that much of a build up. As I was saying, those are just some minor nitpicks for me. I do think it is a really good movie, possibly almost perfect, but I probably would have to give it a few more watches to really make that judgment for myself. But it's another incredible George Miller movie for sure. It's definitely got me excited for the next Mad Max film, Furiosa, which comes out in 2024. And the great thing about Furiosa is that this time it's actually going to be shot in Broken Hill in Australia instead of Namibia, South Africa, where Fury Road was shot. The only reason it was shot in South Africa is literally because there were flowers in the Australian desert, and George Miller said that this would have completely tarnished the way Fury Road would have looked, so they decided to go to Namibia instead. So and it was funny because it almost never rains that hard in the Australian desert, and during the time when Fury Road was shot, it was. So it's a funny coincidence, and a little nugget of history from the production of Fury Road, if anyone is interested. So when I did leave the theatre a couple of nights ago, I did take one of these with me. It's just a bit of a pamphlet about the movie, saying just a bit of praise for George Miller. Like, George Miller's one of cinema's greatest magicians. Gives it a little kind of just like gives you a little backstory of setting you up for the movie. But overall, I thought this was a very unique, original, and creative movie. Very inventive. And if it's playing in a theatre near you, I would highly recommend that you go see this. It's worth your time. It's very entertaining, very interesting. As always, I hope you have enjoyed my review, my opinions on this movie. Before I go, I would like to give a shout out to Jason Wingate's Cyberghost film, which will be releasing sometime this month on YouTube, and as well as his Sanatorium website, which I will link in the description. Anyway, thank you for watching as always, guys, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.